So anyway, guys, stalled arrow, first race of the season.
Woo,
So we thought we'd do something.
good race.
Um, yeah, I mean, as far as season openers go,
hmm
I mean that's about as good as it gets. I mean, I think last year in the first race we had Max and Leclerc doing some racing in the first race of the season last year, as I recall.
Yeah, but I think other than that, there really wasn't much action up and down the grid.
No, not a ton. Whereas this race was sort of top to, but it was, I don't know, it was a real interesting weekend
I mean,
altogether.
yeah,
We
qualifying was intense.
it was, and it's always nice when just like weird stuff happens. Like when you get teammates, it kind of sucks when it's just two by two. Red Bull
Yeah,
first or Ferrari second, or so it's nice when when teammates get split up. So if it's Lando Norris probably getting the absolute maximum out of that McLaren in qualifying, and Alonso obviously qualifying high up and all that stuff. So it's just, I don't know, it's interesting to see the pack more mixed up like that, I guess.
yeah, and it made speculating how the race was going to turn out a little bit more interesting as well.
It did. There really wasn't any. I mean, look, first race of the season, there's always going to be that kind of uncertainty, I guess.
hmm
Except for I think as we said on our our prediction show, I think we both felt pretty decent that it was going to be Max winning the race, even though honestly in testing and even in qualifying where it looked closer, and then just sort of the race started and Max just decided he was done with it, and then just kind of ran away and hid.
Is there anything about our predictions that we were completely off of?
Um, yeah, I think for at least from mine, for very early in the season,
hmm
um, I don't know that the Ferrari is the second best car right now.
It, yeah, I mean, last year there were talks about how the Ferrari was really bad on tires, and you pretty much saw that at play at the end
Yeah,
of the race, where Sainz just could not fight with Alonso. Now, I don't know if Leclerc would have been able to put up a better fight. He is a better driver. I rate him better than Sainz. And at the time that he DNF'd, he was like 9 seconds ahead of Sainz,
yeah,
and
he was also up the road a bit,
yeah,
so
and he was extending the gap too. So
yeah. Um, yeah, if Leclerc was in there, I think Leclerc probably gets on the podium. But
yeah.
yeah, that Ferrari, and it's kind of cousin car, the Haas.
hmm
They do seem to eat up tires a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do
The
we see Hulkenberg and Magnussen in the pits?
Yeah, it's just it was the whole race. I just got, I know I said it to you. I'm like, whoever is the head of strategy for Haas, it just, I don't know, man. It's never once worked.
Yeah, but putting
you
Magnussen
know,
on the hards, oh,
they put
man.
Magnuson on the hards, and I appreciate that. You're splitting the strategy.
Yeah.
Because Hulkenberg started on the softs, but it's also like if they were starting like side by side, and you wanted to get them apart, for pitting and all that stuff, or
Mm,
I guess. But I don't know, man. Like, you're literally the only car in the race starting on the hard tire,
yeah.
and the Haas was a fast car this weekend,
It looked good. Even
and
in
they
the race,
just,
it looked good.
yeah. I mean, right up until Hulkenberg,
Pulled the
lost his front wing, as
pulled the
Haas's too.
Magnussen. Yeah.
And yeah, but Magnussen was sort of, when he could race with people because he was on a different strategy, it was the car was fine. It's just the strategy just really did them zero
Yeah,
favors.
by the time he I mean, by the time he came back out on the softs, he was like behind everybody at that point, I think.
Hmm.
So I think it probably would have been smarter for Magnussen starting 17th. Put him on the softs. You have Sargent and Albin in front of you. Putting him on the hards, he dropped to P20 by like the fourth lap or something like that. I
Yeah,
I think if they put him on the softs, he probably would have been able to overtake Albin and Sargent. But then again, both Williams got an amazing start at the beginning of the race, moving up 3 positions each. So I don't know. I just think I don't know if softs would have been the best choice, but I think it's better than putting him
I
on the
mean,
hards.
it certainly would have been better.
Yeah.
They really just gave him no sort of chance whatsoever. And it's
hmm
Kevin Magnussen. I mean, he's been great on first laps since he got back. He's
Yep.
he's made a lot of really good first lap moves when he's not losing the front wing. Um, so kind of taking that away from him, I think is a really bad, especially because the cars were separated by what 7 or 8 spots on the grid.
Mhm.
So, just everybody else is running softs. Don't try to be clever about it. You've
Right,
never
right.
once been right about it. Just run the softs. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Max ran away and hid, and Checo was second, and he ran a good race, but it was
Was it
very
was it
much
though?
was that
Was it though? Was it a good
for
race for
Checo. I
yeah.
mean, look, it's finishing. Where did he finish?
He
10
finished second.
seconds, 12 seconds adrift of Max
Yeah,
Verstappen.
but
Now,
Max Price stopped pushing 20 with 20 laps left to go. Let's be
yeah, it's
honest
just
here.
I don't know. It's not really I don't see that as all that fair of a fight.
Yeah.
Checo is a really really good number 2 driver.
Yeah.
It's I can't imagine him challenging Max at this point. Max is just too good.
No.
But honestly, but it was really today was the Fernando Alonso show.
Yeah. One driver of the day.
Whole weekend actually, it was the Fernando Alonso weekend.
Right. He was the only one pushing the top 3 teams in qualifying. And then coming back over even after his teammate hit him and made him kind of put him off his game early on in the race. He still managed to come back past both. Did he overtake? Yeah, I think he came out behind Russell after his like second pit stop.
Yeah, then he went back.
Yeah,
No, didn't he overcut him and then hold him off, or undercut him and then hold him off on the second time?
I can't remember. There were so many pit stops today.
Oh no, he came out ahead of Russell but behind Hamilton.
Yeah, so
That
I
was
don't
when he
know.
had to go by Hamilton, and he made that ridiculous move to
Yeah,
get past Hamilton, which was just like I don't know, man. Like that was one of the best passes I've seen in a while.
not a known overtaking spot
Yeah,
through there. So
he just I don't know, man. He made it work. Fernando Alonso he's a wizard, and I gotta say actually for 2 guys who don't get along, him and Lewis Hamilton,
mhm.
they raced each other very respectfully and
Today, yeah.
gave each today gave each other plenty of room. It was I mean it was great to watch.
Yeah, I was expecting more contact, and for a moment there, it actually looked like there was contact, but it wasn't. It was just Alonso losing the
Yeah, he
back
lost the
end.
rear end a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
So, yeah, happy for Alonso. I'm glad to see him back in a competitive car, and
Mhm.
I, yeah, even with Sainz in that Ferrari, I think Alonso is probably the 4th fastest driver on the grid with the car relative to the car. I think he's a better driver than
Yeah.
Perez, but Perez is Red Bull.
Yeah, that
Uh,
car's just a rocket. That's
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that Aston Martin, I don't know, man. Like that car seems to be fairly legit. I mean, Lance Stroll, for all of his hand troubles and stuff, because he said after the contact with Alonso on the first lap, he said it felt like his hands were on fire the whole race.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran a great race.
He
Stroll,
did. He
aside
did.
from that one moment,
Yeah.
Stroll,
Still he was off Alonso by quite a bit, but
yeah,
just in a vacuum, he had just him. He had a good race.
yeah. I mean, he finished 16 seconds down the road behind Alonso,
Mm-hmm.
but he was also, I guess, kind of in the middle of stuff where Alonso was charging up, and again, the hand injury, you sort of
He's
expected him, to be a little bit adrift
He had
of
a foot
Alonso.
injury too. I didn't know. Had like
Yeah,
a
I
broken toe or
don't know,
something
man.
like
He was
that.
just he got messed up.
Yeah.
I don't know would he crash a bicycle? Is that what happened?
Yeah. The story
It's
is
a very popular injury in motorsports.
he said he hit a sewer cap or something like
Hit
that.
a
Or
sewer cap. Okay.
yeah.
And probably went over the handlebars. Good times.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
See, that's why I would never ride a motorcycle or a bicycle, rather.
No, especially with the season literally like 2 weeks away.
I know.
You
Well,
really
I
don't
mean,
know
I
what
guess
he was thinking.
good for fitness. And I think if you're watching this on YouTube, you could say that I could probably use some time on a bicycle.
I could probably use some
I know,
time
right?
on the bicycle.
I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. Like stationary bikes, I guess. But I'm sure these guys do a metric ton of miles without incident and whatnot. It's such a freak
that's true.
thing hitting
That's true.
hitting a manhole cover of all things. I don't know. Mercedes, they sound fairly dejected about the car, even though compared to how they were in testing, I thought they actually had a reasonably decent race.
Mhm.
But yeah, but that seems to be the pretty clear 4th car.
They weren't far off Sainz though. But then again, Sainz is the
No.
slower of the Ferrari drivers.
And yeah, and I mean with the tire situation, that is, I suppose, something about the Mercedes is I don't think it chews up the tires quite like the Ferrari does.
No.
They was it Russell had said the other day that at this point the car is actually like good to drive.
Mhm.
It's just not fast.
I mean, if you think about it, Leclerc was pretty much all by himself for the second half of that race, and both Mercedes had been fighting for a good chunk. Lewis with Alonso and Russell with Stroll.
Mhm.
And even at the end of the race, after Hamilton had done all that fighting with Alonso, he was still able to close up to Sainz. And I think maybe given 4 or 5 more laps, he probably would have been able to overtake Sainz.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being I think 3 seconds. It looks like in between Sainz and Hamilton at the end of
Yeah,
the race.
yeah, he was closing in.
It's that was honestly that was even like towards the end of last season. That was kind of the thing
Mhm.
was the Mercedes is at its best in race trim but light. It seemed like that's when that car is at its best is late in the race.
Mhm.
In the Ferrari at that point is going away, so the Mercedes is kind of able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, they weren't able to stick close to the Ferraris towards the beginning of the race, but
No,
uh, I
no,
mean,
I don't know. I don't know that whole design is just weird, and I think one of these weekends you're just going to hear, oh, Mercedes have a big upgrade planned, and it's going to be another Red Bull. you
yeah,
know,
probably. I'm
it's
surprised
just
they're sticking with the no side pod design for so long.
I think that it's got to be because in their wind tunnel and in their CAD stuff, it must say that it should work
Yeah,
and that it should work very, very well. And if they can get it to work very well, I don't know, it looks like it should offer some benefits. Just
they've been saying
less
that
drag, but
since race one in
yeah,
2022, though.
right.
You think at some point they would just be like, all right, obviously something is not translating properly to the racetrack. We need to rethink this. I don't know if they want to wait a whole nother year, come
No,
fourth
I
place in the
I think
constructors.
if they can't make that like the third at least the third best car and very close to Ferrari by like the middle of the year, I think you'll probably see them go in a different direction. If not this year, then for next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've appreciated them sticking with it, just so that there's like three different aero concepts in the field right now,
Yeah.
and if they become another Red Bull, then all right, well you have 8 Red Bulls and 2 Ferraris, I guess. Because everybody's sort of going with that Red Bull style side pod because
Yeah.
it works.
I hope it happens soon. I really would love to see a Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen three-way battle like every week of the
Mhm.
season. That would be fun to see. And it's kind of difficult to really grade Russell just because he's never been in a car that's been competitive. I mean, he was in the Mercedes that one time when Lewis missed a race back in,
Mhm.
what was it, 2020 or something like that. But
Right.
ever since he's come to Mercedes full time, he's never been in a car that was able to compete with Leclerc and Verstappen. So I would just love to see how he actually compares to uh, those two in a competitive car, and
I
and
think
to
he's
have
good
Lewis
enough.
Hamilton up there as well.
Yeah, Hamilton's always if the car is good, Lewis is going to perform.
Yeah,
And I think George too. I think George at this point is probably about as fast as Lewis.
yeah,
For sure over one lap, maybe not over an entire race distance, just because Lewis is, you know, so consistent. You
yeah.
know,
There are a lot of people saying that Russell has surpassed Hamilton because of points last year. But you got to remember last year, Hamilton DNF'd in the last race of the season, and not only that, Hamilton was one to sacrifice his setup. George was okay with having a stable setup that always came in sixth place or fifth place after the Red Bulls and Ferraris, whereas Hamilton was like, no, let's take a gamble on the setup. If we're gonna lose, then we're gonna at least get data from this. And most of the time the setups didn't work, and that's why he always finished so far behind Russell in certain races. But you got to remember that too. Hamilton was experimenting a lot last season to try and get that car to work, and I think that played a huge part into why he finished ultimately behind Russell in the point standings.
yeah, he was doing a lot of the difficult development work
Yeah,
last year.
yeah,
Any of the I mean, look, if you're going to put weird parts on the car, right, and you want to know about them, who are you going to give them to? The young guy who's in his first year with the team, or the 7-time world champion?
Yeah,
Like,
right. It's a
it's
no-brainer.
pretty. I think it's fairly obvious who's. It's the same thing with, when we had testing last week, and it's like, well, all right, if Stroll is going to drive, why would you put Drugovich in the car when you can put Alonso in it?
Mhm.
Who do you think you're going to get more useful information out of?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I'll take my chances with Fernando Alonso.
Mhm.
So yeah, Lewis is. I don't know. I didn't put any stock last year in the Russell. He beat Lewis on merit on points. I'm like, well, that was such a weird season.
Right.
I
That
just
car
I
wasn't even working half the races anyway.
no, and it was not working in such an odd way where it was just they had no idea, just
Yeah, and
totally adrift. So
Hamilton was literally like, just change it up, just change it differently than
yeah,
what it
just do
was
something
last time.
different. Literally
Yeah,
anything but this. It
right.
has to be better.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is a hell of a way to have to do things.
yeah.
Um, there's there was some stuff going on at Alpine today, and
Oh
Pierre Gasly
man.
Gasly managed to get some points in, but man, Esteban Ocon had a day.
Yeah, he had a 5 second penalty,
He had a five,
another,
a 10, and a 15, I
yeah,
think.
so 30 seconds worth of
Because
penalties.
was it he set
Overshot
up
his,
wrong on the grid.
yeah, he overshot his spot.
So a 5 second penalty, but then when they came in, they started working on the car before 5 seconds.
Hmm.
So he got 10-second penalty, came back in to serve that, and then he was speeding
In the pit
in the
lane.
pits. He got 15
Yeah,
seconds for that. So
oh, man.
I don't. I mean, look, man, I'm not a. I like Ocon. I'm not a huge Ocon guy, and I don't know how much of that. I mean, the speeding in the pits is clearly on him.
Hmm.
There's nothing at all that he could have done about the team starting working on the car quicker than 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, and the first penalty is on him too. He overshot it by
Yeah,
like
that just
half
seemed
of,
lazy.
like
He
almost
was
a
just
foot.
he was just sort of just rolling. It's like, bro, you gotta stop.
Yeah, he was
You
looking in the
know?
mirrors. That's what it was. I think that's what
Yeah,
one of the commentators said.
yeah, that was pretty bad. So, I mean, for Gasly, I mean I think ninth for Gasly is. I mean, I'm looking at it now. The only other aside from the top teams, it was just Valtteri in front of him.
Best of the rest. Yep, good
Yeah,
drive from
and
him.
so I mean, I think that was probably about as good as Gasly could hope to be.
Yeah, and it's a shame for the Alpines because I think they would have gotten a double points finish today, because
Yeah,
Ocon was right behind Valtteri when he started serving those penalties that ended up in more and more penalties. So I think
right.
he lost out at the start of the race because there was such a huge mess when the lights went out. I think he probably would have eventually overtaken Bottas.
Mhm.
I wonder if he would have been able to take it to Russell one spot ahead.
There was, I mean, there was. I'm looking at there was like 17 seconds
Yeah.
between George and Valtteri, so I
But
don't know.
there was also 9 seconds from Gasly to Valtteri when Gasly got past Albin,
That's true.
and he closed that up. So
That's a good point.
over the
Yeah,
course of the race, I don't know. Terrible day for Alpine though, but maybe we'll figure it out next week.
I was gonna say there were people that had worse days than Alpine, and we'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah.
But since I'm just kind of working my way down the list, I'll turn the floor over to you so you can talk about what a great job Alex Albin did to pick up a point for Williams in 10th, because I think he maximizes that car. I
Yeah.
think if there's something there to get, it seems like Albon gets that out of it.
I won't sing on too long because I've already made episode 2 of the
That's all right.
Alex
Yep.
Superfan show that came out earlier today. So check it out on the channel if you want
All
to
right.
see me go on and on about him. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the honestly going into qualifying, I wasn't expecting much. And then during qualifying, I was like, whoa, where the hell did this pace come from? Because Alex finished behind Logan in 2 of the 3 free practice sessions. And then the one where he did beat Logan, he was only like P17 in the free practice session.
Right.
So the fact that they were able to, and Alex said that they were running different packages today, both him
Mm-hmm.
and Logan. And it
Oh,
seemed to,
interesting.
yeah, it still seemed to work for both cars.
Mm-hmm.
The Williams looks like it has enough speed on the on the straights um to hold off anybody trying to overtake, even with DRS. and around the corners and stuff like that, they're slow, but they still manage to have enough speed through the corners to where the following car finds it difficult. I mean, shit, he held off Gasly for like 10 laps with
Mhm.
DRS, and Gasly only overtook him after the VSC. And I think the Alpines can just turn their tires on a little bit quicker
Mhm.
because he literally overtook Albon the next lap. And Logan had a really good day as well. Both of them jumped up three
Yeah.
positions at the start, and Logan finished 12th. So just about 8 seconds behind Alex, although Logan wasn't really fighting much during the race, whereas Alex was defending for his life for pretty much the entire race. So
Mhm.
I think the gap probably would have been a little bit wider if Alex was kind of off on his own. But yeah, man, I'm a happy camper, dude. If you don't know,
Uh,
Alex is my favorite driver. So
yep.
anytime he scores points, I'm happy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I the Williams this year I think looks more like a race car
Hmm.
than last year. It was sort of like a drag racer. It was just,
Yeah.
it was like lightning down the straights. Nobody was gonna pass it on the straights. But in the corners, it was just you never really knew exactly what you're gonna get.
Hmm.
And it seems like this year Williams has done a really good job, I think, of building a I think what's probably going to be a more drivable car for their drivers over the course of the year. Just because, I mean, look, a lot of guys, fumbled it down the pack, but you still had Logan Sargent finish 12th in the race,
Best of
right?
the rookies. Yeah.
And with Albon, who, like I said, that was my thought earlier, is I don't think that there's anybody right now that gets more out of the car that they have than Alex Albon.
Mm.
And I think a lot of guys, I guess probably maybe Alonso today.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, look,
No
fine,
comparison
fine.
there. Yeah.
But I don't know. He doesn't leave anything on the table.
Yeah.
And if the car is capable of scoring a point, he tends to get it.
Hmm.
And yeah, the car's probably, you're probably not going to see the Williams up in fifth, sixth on merit this year. You probably see it in that kind of 8 to 12, 13
Yeah.
ballpark in somewhere like that. But the fact that Sargent and Albon were both that high up together says to me it wasn't like a fluke, and the car is just better than it
Yeah.
was last year.
And on
And
different with different packages too.
yeah,
Let's
for
not
sure.
forget that. So
I think, yeah. So I mean, if it's two different packages, then maybe it has a wider operating window too than it did
mhm.
last year. Which that was a problem with that car. Was it's
Yeah.
just all right? Where was it good? Monza. Where was it bad? Everywhere that wasn't Monza.
Yeah.
you know.
Everywhere else.
Um. So, but yeah, a great day for them. Great day for Logan Sargent. Great day for America.
Yeah.
Um. You know, Sonoda finished 11th. The AlphaTauri looks a little bit of a mess. DeVries was kind of, he was
Yeah.
there.
The
He was at
AlphaTauri
the
is
track today.
lacking. It's lacking straight line speed. It looks
Yeah.
like because Yugi was able to close up to Alex
Mhm.
about 5 laps or so left to go, and then
Yeah.
just
But then
came
he
to a
couldn't really do anything with
came
it
to a
once he got
dead
there.
stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they need to work on their straight line speed a little bit. They have the Red Bull engine, so that shouldn't
Mhm.
be an issue. So it's got to be just a setup issue with
They
them.
they've been taking less Red Bull parts, which I'm
Yeah.
like, well, look, at a time where the Red Bull is the best car by miles,
Right. Why?
maybe you should reconsider if you're gonna take Red Bull parts.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would take the Red Bull parts.
Yeah. Why
uh
not just take as much as you can? That way you can just focus on the parts you can't take.
yeah,
Make those parts
I
better.
don't know. They have a different design philosophy, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I think it's cool that they want to do it on their own. But man, that Red Bull is very, very good.
Yeah. I think I heard Franz Toss saying that they kind of want to move away from being that Red Bull Junior team and
Right.
becoming their own team. So I can understand it, but I mean, you can do that while still taking the parts.
Yeah.
Just be
Yes.
smart.
Um, Magnussen ended up finishing 13th, which, with the strategy was probably a pretty good drive for him.
Yeah, if he
You know,
qualified better, I think he probably would have finished in the points.
yeah, I think 18th was, I don't know exactly what happened. That was fairly disappointing. And it sucked that Hulkenberg got his wing knocked off
Yeah.
so early in the race, because that just, it ruined everything.
Yeah, and he got eaten up at the start too. I mean,
Yeah, he had a bad start, which sucked because he had a really he was great in qualifying.
yeah, by the end of the
Um,
first lap, I think he was down to like 12th,
yeah,
12th or
he
11th.
well he started 10th. I think he lost like 3 on the first lap, so he was probably 12th or 13th, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, bad weekend for Haas. I mean, good. I suppose good weekend because
They still look pacey though, which is
yeah,
always
they
good.
look like they can compete. It was an unlucky weekend
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Haas, I think.
Mhm.
Um, Zhou Guan Yu, I'm looking at it now. I'm like, I think he is probably the car that finished furthest from his teammate,
Yeah,
given
he
that
got eaten
Valtteri
up.
was up in the points and he was 16th.
He
You
got
know,
eaten up at the start of the race and just couldn't recover. And then obviously they pitted him late to take the fastest lap point away from the top 10. So
right,
it looks a lot worse than it is, but he didn't have a great day either. So
right. Um, I'll tell you, but so we were talking about guys that had bad days,
yeah, we saved the
and
best for last.
yeah, I think that would probably be the team in the orange or the papaya colored team. Man, McLaren just their whole weekend was just bad. But man, race day was so bad.
Even before Norris started having engine issues, he was already overtaken by Albin and almost overtaken by Logan Sargent
Yeah,
on
that car is not
pace.
great. Kudos to Norris for
Mm.
qualifying it as high up as he did.
Yeah, and holding
He's
on for as long as he's in.
yeah, he's another and he's in that conversation with Albon that if there is something to be gotten out of that McLaren,
He's
Lando
gonna
will
do
get
it.
it out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which is I do think last year it was that car did not suit Daniel Ricciardo, but Lando Norris is also just really, really good.
Yeah.
you know. So McLaren is another one of those. They're in the kind of the same spot as Mercedes is with Lewis, and that McLaren is going to have to fix that car and figure something out if they want Norris to stick around.
Yeah. I didn't read what the issue was. Was it the same issue that,
It was a hydraulic leak
for
for
Piastri?
Norris.
Oh, for Norris. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, because
So
they kept trying to fill
yeah,
something up.
they kept having to come in to top it off.
Yeah, yeah.
So he ended up making four, five, or yeah, like 4 stops or something like that.
Yeah, and finishing 2 laps down.
Yeah,
Jesus.
and just it's like a bro, like why? Why?
And then yeah, Piastri. Yeah, why? Yeah, why?
And
Why
Piastri
not
had an
save the
electrical
engine?
issue.
Yeah, why not
So
just save the parts? Why make
I don't
them?
know. So Piastri couldn't. I guess he couldn't downshift. So they came in, swapped steering wheels, and that didn't fix it. And
The engine
so I
just
mean,
died.
I would almost feel better, like if it was something where like if you had like Red Bull last,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, they had two engine failures.
Yeah,
Okay, well, at least they're both engine failures. I'm sorry, I don't want to see hydraulic and electrical issues.
right.
That's okay. No, you guys have multiple, you have multiple issues that you have to take care of now.
Right. And those are just the ones that popped up.
Yeah.
What
So
else
I
is
mean,
there?
yeah. So Piastri again. You can't tell anything from that weekend.
I felt so bad for the kid, man.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him.
You finally get to F1. It's like, oh shit, I'm going to
Yeah.
McLaren, and then this is what McLaren
Yeah.
is going to give you to work with. At the
Waited an
first race.
entire year, went through that contract controversy. You finally get here, you get a shit qualifying, and then your car freaking dies on lap 12 or whatever it was.
Right. It's yeah. And then of course Charles Leclerc, and he is in the I said this earlier today about Roman Grosjean in the IndyCar race. I said Leclerc is sort of in that spot where if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all.
Yeah. For
It's
those
just
of you that don't watch IndyCar, Kurt is about to tell you exactly what happened to Grosjean.
Grosjean got boned, is what happened.
He qualified on pole.
Qualified on pole,
Mhm.
and he was trying to pull the undercut on Scott McLaughlin, and made a really, really nice move around the outside. McLaughlin just sort of went in a little bit too hot into the side of Grosjean. They both went right into the tire wall. Grosjean retired from the race.
How close to the end of the race was that?
20-ish laps. And but the thing was that Grosjean was faster than McLaughlin.
Oh yeah.
But not, in that kind of like Formula One style where it's like, yeah, you're faster, but not fast enough to pass.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And where if Grosjean would have and it was a great move by Grosjean. Like the accident was like, I think when I first texted you, I thought it was sort of like a 50-50 thing. And it was 0% Grosjean, 100% McLaughlin.
Yeah.
And McLaughlin said as much after the race, and he went and he apologized to Grosjean, and they hugged it out and all
At
stuff.
least it wasn't like that incident from last year where Grosjean got taken out and the other guy was just like, "Oh, wow, welcome to IndyCar. I'm a douchebag."
People liked like acting like Grosjean is like a rookie who keeps wrecking people. But I'm like, bro, like he's just out here racing now. He's in his third season. Like, let the man be.
Yeah.
So that
But
was
anyway,
fairly
yeah.
frustrating.
But anyway, we'll come back to Formula One now.
We'll talk more of Roman Grosjean at a different
Yeah,
time.
just wanted to give Grosjean a bit of love there.
He had a great weekend. And I think with that Andretti car is good this season. I think Grosjean is going to win a race this year. I hope so.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
But yeah, no, Leclerc just engine failure, very on brand for Ferrari.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And the same thing with Norris. You know, Leclerc. That just Ferrari needs to turn the stuff around if they want Leclerc to be there long term.
Yeah, I mean his contract's up at the end of next year, so
That sounds right.
yeah. Plenty of time to take care of those issues. I mean, it was an engine issue. He lost his engine. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a full-on engine failure, but it was an engine issue that retired him from the race.
I mean, I keep seeing these memes about Fred Vasseur, but it's like, dude, that engine was frozen before Vasseur was even in the
there's nothing
about. Yeah,
yeah.
What's he supposed to do about that?
I mean, he's only been the team principal for what, like a month and a half or 2 months
officially.
or whatever.
Yeah, right.
You know, so I don't
like,
know.
why are you clowning the guy that just literally got here? You know.
Yeah, you should probably clown the guy that was just fired for stuff like this happening last year.
Well, that's F1 Twitter for you, though. 90% of those people don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it's generally the worst of the worst. So I don't know. Who do you got? Who is your biggest winner and your biggest loser from this race?
I mean, it's not even not even difficult.
Yeah,
this
is an easy one today.
Yeah, if you and I don't have the same, then yeah. Alonso obviously the biggest winner, biggest loser, McLaren.
Yeah, I sort of think that's really the only other way you could maybe go with it is just Red Bull.
Yeah,
just because like Red Bull and Max.
Expected, though.
You see Russell after the race, he said that Red Bull might just win every race this year, and I'm like,
sure looks like it.
It wouldn't shock me.
You know, what was the gap to Alonso? At least with
from Max, it was 37 or 39 seconds, and from Checo, so it would be 28 seconds, 27, 28 seconds, something like that.
So even if Max DNFs, Perez is still far enough ahead to.
Yeah, he's way up the road.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, with the penalty that they had, and Aston Martin does have more wind tunnel time, so I think you'll probably maybe see more development from Aston Martin this year than you will from Red Bull.
Still a huge gap.
Oh, you know, it's a very big gap.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's yeah, Red Bull could almost like, I don't know, just stop developing the car. Let's just focus on 2024, and you know, they maybe by the end of the season somebody would go past them, but probably not by a ton.
No, no. So
if they could freeze development right now, and they would remain at least competitive with the top 3 teams for the rest of the season, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, probably could start developing next year's car at this point, and probably wouldn't lose noticeable pace to the rest of the field.
I'm sure Adrian Newey is already thinking about it. He's already saying they're looking at a picture of the side pods and just visualizing the airflow, you know.
So is Red Bull your pick for biggest winner?
No, I still got to go Alonso though.
Yeah,
just because I don't know, like you knew Max was gonna win the race.
Yeah,
and we hoped that Alonso would be on the podium.
Mm-hmm.
And Alonso, and you know, if Alonso had just kind of like cruised to a third place, it would feel different. But you know, with the move that he made on Lewis, and you know, the early drama with his teammate and all that stuff, some kind of miracle that he didn't, you know, get a tire puncture out of that.
Right.
You know, I think it can really only be Fernando Alonso as the winner from the race. And then yeah, McLaren, pretty clear. They had, for as bad of a weekend as like Haas and maybe like AlphaTauri had, and even then AlphaTauri finished, you know, 11th, 14th. So what are you going to do?
At least Haas and AlphaTauri during the race,
they showed a little bit of promise.
Yeah, improved a little bit from their qualifying showing.
You can see where, you know, like Haas, it's like, well, if they had different, you know, like if Magnussen had qualified where Hulkenberg was, and then had that same race, Magnussen probably finishes in the points.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Most likely.
It's just, if things go a little bit differently. But yeah, McLaren is just a mess, and the car looks unreliable. And Lando says it's both slow and unpleasant to drive.
Yeah,
So that's what you don't want.
I don't think there's ever been a moment since preseason testing started where anybody from McLaren gave any positive reaction
No,
to the car.
no, it was kind of like Mercedes last year. And
Yeah.
we were so used to it from Mercedes that just nobody believed them. But then, like, you're like, oh, wait, no, that's actually true. That car sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be the case with the McLaren this year.
Yeah.
The car is about as bad as they're saying that it is.
Yeah, I think the only reason why they kept running Norris instead of saving the parts was because they were like, "Oh shit,
You need data."
yeah, let's try to figure this out."
Yeah.
If you stop both cars right at lap, what was it, like 15 when they first started running into those issues, you have two cars and about 30 laps worth of data
Right.
between those two cars. So I
Yeah.
I can kind of understand it. You hear that Leclerc already had to go through engine components this weekend?
Yeah, he had some other thing that they swapped that like they only get two of for the
Yeah,
whole season.
like the
It
electronic
was a
control unit.
yeah, it was a precautionary swap. So the part Ferrari's going to look it over, and they hope that
Okay,
they
okay.
hope that the part can go back into the pool.
That's crazy though.
Yeah,
Literally one qualifying or well, a few
yeah,
practice sessions.
yeah. I know, right?
I'm gonna give you a an honorable mention for biggest winner,
Mm.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo.
I think
Yeah,
he avoided a huge mess this year.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, nobody really likes to see somebody fail, but I'm sure watching that he at least felt a little better.
Yeah, a little vindicated.
In his heart that he didn't have to be there for that. I mean, look, he was in Red Bull's pit for that, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
an
So yeah, he
altogether
got to see
nicer
his
spot to
team
be.
win, and he got to see his former team lose.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
Um,
they really sucked. So
but I don't think that's who Daniel Ricciardo is anyway. I'm sure
no,
he took
probably
no
not. He seems
pleasure.
like a decent guy,
Yeah,
but still, I'm sure that he at least was like,
yeah. At least it made him feel a little bit better. He's getting
yeah,
paid, and he doesn't have to finish dead last
yeah.
anymore.
I think we have about a minute until Zoom kicks us out of here.
All right. Well, I
So
mean, we've covered everything we needed
I
to
know, right?
cover.
It's everything we wanted to get to. So,
Yeah.
guys, we'll be back after. What's our next race? Jeddah?
Yeah, I don't know how far
Right.
away that is, but
It's probably 2
we'll be
weeks or
back.
whatever. So
back,
we'll
yeah.
be back for that. Maybe we'll touch base in between. But
If you
yeah.
guys want to hear my thoughts or my 10-minute rant on Alex Albon, go check out my
there you go.
Alex Superfan show on my channel.
Alex Evans Superfan show right on this very same YouTube channel. So we'll catch you guys after the next race.
All right, guys. See you next
All right.
time.
Later. All right, yeah. So this is going to shut off like any second now.